Okay, y'all, thank you for coming. This is a ceremonial bill signing for H3609, the ESG Pension Protection Act. Chief sponsor is Bill Taylor. Mr. Taylor, please.
Thank you, Governor. You know, it's been said, go woke, go broke. The goal of this bill is to take the politics out of the pension investments of South Carolina. You know, the world elites have pushed the ESG strategy so much, the investment strategy. They want to advance their decisions of investing about the Green New Deal and their causes that they care about. Instead, this legislation, very simply, ensures that we make money for those who are in the state pension program. We want them to have a happy and fulfilling retirement with money in their pocket, not to be subverted by those worshiping the liberal gods of ESG. So a little perspective, if I may. The legislation is a great example of how in South Carolina we work together. We work together to get things done. Regrettably, in Washington, they squabble, they fight with each other, and they get very little done. Here, we join together on the right things and get them done. So the ESG Pension Protection Act is a very good example of that. Just the title alone of ESG, you would think that it would draw the critics, right? Not so much. In reality, the House voted 103 to 5 to pass this bill. It went to the Senate, and it was passed unanimously without debate. Nearly every legislator voted in favor of protecting the value of our state's pension program. They're looking out for our state, city, county employees that are in the pension program, the teachers that are in that program. They want that program to make as much money as it possibly can for those folks. They understand that the state's fund managers have a fiduciary responsibility that the investment decisions don't bow to the social justice warriors. They're to be invested in such a way as to make a lot of money for the people that have their money in there. Let me give you a little short course here. As the governor well knows and the legislators behind me know, getting a bill to the governor's desk for signature is a daunting task. It's never really very easy. But in this case, I want to tell you about the team that really worked on this. I'm going to go back to almost 2 years ago in May of 2022. I was in, Glenn Beck is the name that starts this. Go figure. But Glenn Beck opened up his studios in Dallas for a little legislative workshop for 2 days. There was 20 of us legislators from all over the country that showed up there along with a bunch of policy advisors. And we hashed things out. And really the ESG stuff was pretty new at the time. So out of that, I said, if we're going to do this in South Carolina, it's a complex subject. So we needed to get that kind of a workshop right here on the campus. We did that in October, about 5 months later, and Vivek Ramaswamy, who ran for president, of course, was our keynote speaker. He showed up and gave us a wowing hour or so of understanding of that. He talks fast and he's really smart. But in the audience that day were the Curtis Loftus, the treasurer, who helped sponsor that lunch with me and that workshop. He brought his staff. The Attorney General brought his staff. The speaker was there, other interested legislators were there, and a few citizens were also there. Mike Hitchcock, by the way, the CEO of the Retirement System Investment Commission, can't be here today. He's under the weather, so he apologizes for not being here. But I want to tell you, he was in attendance that day at that workshop and has been an enthusiastic supporter of this bill, working to develop it. Along with the other supporters of this is Speaker Merle Smith. He, along with the folks in his office and Mike Hitchcock, helped develop this. And they had some other help. Those others are right here with me, the Heritage Action folks and the Heartland Institute, two very, very good conservative think tanks. It's those organizations that brought us together at Glenbeck Studio in Dallas. They came to the State House here 5 months later, and they helped with all of their policy experts to get legislators and everyone else to understand what goes on in this sort of a bill. So they provided a lot of advice and crafting of the bill. Governor, with your permission, I would like to ask that James Quarles of the Heritage Action Group and Cameron Shortley of the Heartland Institute just briefly, for a moment, share the national perspective on this and see how we fit into all of it. James, go ahead.
Hey there, I'm James Quarles. I'm the State Director for Heritage Action for America. We're a grassroots organization with over 2 million activists nationwide, and including thousands of South Carolinians like myself. First of all, I just want to applaud the General Assembly for passing the ESG Pension Protection Act. They did it in an overwhelming and bipartisan way. It's laudable. It's a great thing. And H 3690 is actually the first ESG bill to be signed into law this year. And with its enactment, South Carolina becomes the 16th state to pass similar legislation to protect the assets of those who are investing against being used to further political agendas. That's a great thing. It's a great step that South Carolina has taken. And 28 states actually introduced bills last year on this issue. That's more than double the number of states that did the year prior. And Heritage Action is proud to have worked with lawmakers and grassroots Americans to, not only here in South Carolina, but in states all across the country to advance the push against ESG and to keep this momentum going forward, which we hope to continue to see. I know in South Carolina there's a little bit more to do on the issue that we can do here, but the bill that we've passed is excellent. We appreciate you for all of your work that you've done on it, and we look forward to working with you all more in the future on this. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cameron Schulte. I'm the Executive Director of Heartland Impact. Without repeating James's remarks and the data and the discussion of the national effort that Heartland and Heritage Action are working on, I think it's important to note that with the passage of this legislation and the signing of this bill, it's important to note that South Carolina joins and continues to lead on not just a national discussion about ESG, but a global discussion on the effects of ESG and net zero policies. So I want to applaud South Carolinians today for getting this bill across the finish line and signed into law today. Thank you for having me.
Governor, one last thing I'll tell you, there's more to come because in the Senate they're working on the banking and insurance aspect of all of this, and I think you'll see very shortly the ESG issue is coming before the farmers, and we've got to fix that. We had discussions yesterday, and I think you'll see a bill filed within the next week or two, a couple of weeks, to protect our farmers from this insidious sort of woke deal. Thank you, Governor. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Governor. I'm here just for two reasons, really to congratulate Representative Bill Taylor on getting a team together that could allow a bill like this to pass very quickly in the General Assembly, getting the stakeholders, getting the folks who need to be informed about the legislation and getting that team together. So congratulations to Representative Taylor and the team that made that happen. Second is to recommit or focus your attention on the General Assembly's desire and commitment to make sure our pension stays as sound as it can. We passed pension reform in 2017. We have maintained all of our commitments to the pension reform, and we will continue to do that from this point forward, including prohibiting the pension from being hijacked for political purposes or something that doesn't directly benefit the folks who rely on their pension in South Carolina. And with that, I'll turn it over to the governor.
Thank you. Well, what you see is South Carolina's business is business, and this is another example of how we're taking care of business. We're thinking ahead and reflecting the will of the people of South Carolina who are loaded with common sense, and that's why we are booming. Does anyone have a question? Yes, sir.
What is the way that these funds are spent the way that you guys find is inappropriate, and has that happened in other states?
I believe it has happened in other states, and these experts back here can tell you, but here's the way this really works. Our Pension Investment Commission has not use the ESG or any of that in their decision-making. In fact, they really wanted this bill because they wanted it codified into law for the long period of time, so we don't have to think about this again. They can look at anybody that asks them to do something, and they say, sorry, it's in statute, we can't do that. So this is no real change for us, but it does solidify it in law, so it won't happen.
Comment on other states, either you.
Anybody? Guys? Okay.
Next question. Yes,
Hi, I've been trying to research the bill, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time understanding it. Would you be able to clarify what the bill is doing to the average person in their retirement planning?
Yeah, why don't you guys stand and take it?
Yeah, so what the bill does, the way that the Retirement System Investment Commission operates is for the state system, as hardworking South Carolinians pay into that system, that money is managed by asset managers. And many of these asset managers, their stated goals on their website are to advance net zero and other initiatives that are all under ESG. And that money, the hardworking South Carolinians' money is used to further that agenda, whether or not they agree with those policy positions. And so bills like this are designed to ensure that the retirement system, that money is invested according to the fiduciary standards. So that money and investment decisions can only be made in the sole financial interest of those hardworking people who are investing their money and putting that aside. So that's really the goal of this legislation and the legislation that is similar in other states that we've seen as well.
So if a company's doing gangbusters and they have ESG values, it's their choice, can the pension still invest in them?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. You know, because that's not the criteria. The criteria is it making money? Is it making the best? Is it the best fiduciary position? So it doesn't eliminate a company that has that or a fund that has that. It's just simply, it makes sure that it's a well-performing fund so that it produces the money that's needed for the pension program.
more questions, anyone? Yes, sir.
This wouldn't prohibit the South Carolina State Pension Fund from using companies like BlackRock or Fidelity or Vanguard? Would the state pension fund still be able to use some of those funds?
Yeah, it's too bad that Michael Hitchcock isn't here because he could explain this very well. But when the Pension Investment Commission does use BlackRock, and he would tell you why, is because they have the lowest fees you can ever believe, and we make a lot of money. I think one number I don't hear him quote me, but I'm not sure of the number, but it's like $80 million more a year we make because they use BlackRock. But here's the thing, they have a proxy company now that votes the proxies. BlackRock doesn't vote that. That's very important.
More questions? Okay, thank you very much. Just sign up.
You there?